Sometimes it can be difficult to know where to get started when you're designing your intranet homepage. So in this video, we're going to take a look at some common web parts that we can use for a variety of different reasons. So we'll take a look at some visually appealing web parts that make the page really easy to navigate. We'll take a look at some more functional web parts as well to make pages more user-friendly. But we'll also take a look at a few dynamic web parts that will drag information from other places so that the page is constantly updated without you having to go in and edit it frequently. On top of that, we'll just look at some nice little tips to make your page look really professional and easier for the user to navigate. We'll be doing this within the context of a school homepage, but it could apply to any organization, and it could also apply to other communication sites that you have within your intranet portal. So when we're editing a SharePoint page, we work in sections. So let's add a section in, and the first two web parts we're going to take a look at are both full width web parts. So if you press the plus here, you can choose how many columns you have in each section. But to start with, we'll just go for two full width sections. So the first one, when using full width, you've only got a limited choice of web parts. And the first one we want to begin with is My Profile. This web part's really useful because it tailors to each individual login. And you can see it displays their profile picture and some handy links for that specific user. So whether this is staff or student, they'll get a link to their OneDrive. They'll get a link to the class dashboard so they can access all of the class teams. And they'll also get a link to the My Assignments area within Teams. So as soon as they open up their browser and get to the home page, they can get straight to where they need to be in their working day. So let's add another section. Again, we're going to go full width. And this time we're going to take a look at the hero web part. And this is really versatile because you can add up to 5 links to either different areas of the site, key documents, or links to external websites as well. So for each tile you have here, we can select the link. And you can bring in areas from this site itself. So in this example, let's add a policy document. And now when somebody clicks on that tile, it'll take them straight to that document. So to make it even easier to navigate to, let's edit the individual tile. There's our link, which you can change. And we'll put a clear title in. And then to make it visually appealing, we can select a background image. You can just use a block of color. But to make it even more obvious where this link is going, we're going to select custom image and then select change underneath. If you've uploaded images yourself, you can use those from the site. But in this case, we're just going to use a stock image. And this is a library of really high quality images you can use. Making it really clear for the user. So if you don't want 5 links, you can just edit the whole web part itself here and change the number of tiles you have. So let's just change that down to 3. For the second link, we're actually going to link to another area of our SharePoint portal. So let's bring down our mega menu. We're going to right click on IT support and just copy that link. And then we're going to link that into our hero web part. So when people log on the home page, they'll be able to go straight to the IT support if needed. Come down, click from a link, and just copy that link in there. Again, let's edit the tile. Get a clear title. And a nice image to draw the eye. Finally, we'll just add one more link, and this time it's going to be to an external website that users might want to visit quite frequently. So we'll select the link, choose from link again, again, title and an image. So now when a member of staff or a student logs in, they'll quickly have access to useful areas of Microsoft and Teams. They can also quickly get to key documents, other sites within the SharePoint that they may frequently visit, and external links, all through these tiles. These also work really well for touchscreen users and work really well when aimed at students who may rely more on images rather than reading through text links to get to where they need to be. Next, we're going to take a look at some web parts that are useful if you use a lot of external links or if you have lots of document libraries within a communications site. So we're going to edit the page again, and we'll add a new section. And this time we're going to use 2 columns and look at 2 different web parts. So if we select 2 columns here, it will split the section in half down the middle. And we can select a web part for each half. So the first web part we wanted to look at was promoted links. This is a Cloud Design Box web part, and it will help people navigate to certain parts of this site page. So if we go into edit the web part here, you'll see, just like with the hero, we can name it. But just really wanted to look at this first toggle button here, which allows you to include document libraries from the current site automatically. Now if we switch that on, it has automatically given us tiles which link to the different document libraries within this site. So now if we republish that page, those tiles will take us into areas such as policies and SEND, but any page contributors or editors can use the new button at the top and add a new document library as the site expands. So once they've named this library and created it, it will take us directly into that library. But if we go back home, we'll see that the web part has automatically included a new tile for that new document library. So this is a good example of using web parts, which will automatically change depending on the content of the site. So if you want to add more links, then you can using either the hero or the My Profile. We can use the Quick Links web part to create a list of links which you can easily add to, just like we did with promoted links. So promoted links was looking at our document libraries, but if we edit the page and add in quick links, this will allow us, just like we did with the hero, to add internal or external links easily, and we can just build this up over time again. So if we add a link and use that from a link option down the left hand side, and you can just copy and paste internal or external sites into here. So we can rename that easily. And you can add a custom image, or you can use an icon. So a custom image, we can upload if we have a suitable image. And let's add another link to an internal site. So Let's just drop down our mega menu again. And let's put a link to the library. Right click, copy link, close the mega menu, and then we'll add that link in here as well. So let's rename that, let's make it clear. And this time I'm going to use one of the built-in icons. So if we select icon and then change, you can narrow that down by searching. And we'll republish. So this section will grow the more we add to it. One thing you might notice here is that it doesn't look very symmetrical. So a nice trick is to use spaces on your SharePoint pages. So if we press edit, and I just want to push quick links to be more in line with the promoted links. So above it, I'm going to bring up the web part picker and search for spacer. This simply allows you to drag and create space on your page. If you feel the sections are too compact, these can also be useful to create a bit of space on your page. So if we republish that now, you'll see they're a bit more aligned with one another. Users coming into the site now can quickly get to the documents they need, and they can also navigate to other areas of the site, like the library. Or they could go to external websites too. So now we've populated our homepage with lots of useful links for people based on their login, based on their importance, and also by creating libraries and lists for them to browse as well. So next we want to take a look at some web parts to keep people updated on news and events. So we're going to edit the page again, and we're going to add a new section. And this just brings us on to a little trick to keep your page interesting. Last time we used 2 columns split directly down the middle, but this time we're going to split it with 1/3 to the right. So we've got a larger section on this side and a small section over here. The reason to do that is just to make the page interesting as people browse down it, so things are offset a little bit and not just in 2 big columns. So the first web part we're going to add in here is news. Like the previous 2, you can add news in without having to edit your page, and it'll just keep the page fresh. So you can choose where the news is coming from, and you can also choose how this looks. If we press edit web part here, you'll see the first section on the right just says news source. So the first option is this site, so it will only display news that is posted on the home page. You can use it to roll up news from several different places. So if we click select sites, it brings through our most frequently visited, but we can search for those sites here as well. So for example, we could bring news from the library and the home page and the science staff page just by ticking these. Another option is to just bring news recommended for the current user. So a lot like the My Profile web part at the top, any sites that user is a member of that has any news posted, it will pull it through onto the home page for them. So they get a really good overview of all the news that's relevant to them. So below that, you can change the view. There's lots of different options. And you can, as well, if you scroll down a little bit further, actually filter. So if you have a news publication, for example, you can filter that down for title that includes certain words. So it could be sports newsletter. You could put sports in there, and it would only bring sports news through. So lots of options on the news web part. So just like we did with the document libraries, if an editor or contributor for this site wants to add some news, just use that new button, And you can either create your own internal news or use a news link, and it will generate an article for you and a link. So let's edit the other part of the section. And in here, we're going to add in events. So events, again, it allows you to post important events into your site. And again, if we edit the web part, you can choose the source. So you can just have events from this site, and you can actually add a category to your events, so you can narrow them down. So there we have the sports category, for example. Again, you can change the view. So if we republish that, you'll see slightly different. If you want to add a new event, it's just add event at the top of the web part here. Now you can put in your start and end times, add a picture as well, so you get that nice little preview, so it draws people's eye. You can put a location, you can put a meeting link in there if it was online, like a Teams meeting, for example, and a description, and you can tag your participants in there. The category option is here, so you can use any of these categories. If you want to create your own category, just simply type it in. So when a user browses this page and they see an event that they think is interesting, they can click on it, and it will bring through all of the event details for them. And they can also choose to add it to their own Outlook calendar to remind them in future. So with our last two sections, there's quite a lot of empty white space, and we can't really differentiate between those two sections. So another little tip here is to color code your sections. So let's edit the page. And if we click anywhere within here, and then use the section edit tools on the side, let's choose a slightly different color. And you can see how it just nicely ties in our news and events together. If we republish that page, you can now see that these sections are much better differentiated. So now we've added some internal news for our users in the site and some internal events that they can add to their calendars. But we might also want to consider some of the updates that are posted on social media about our school or organisation. We're going to add another section in here. Because last time we went with a 1/3 towards the right, this time we're going to add 1/3 on the left. Again, just breaking up the view on the page for the reader. So for the smaller column, we're going to add in a Twitter feed, and this is using the Twitter web part. And it's nice and simple to use. You'll see that as default it uses @Microsoft, but you can add in any Twitter handle you wish, and it will automatically bring through that Twitter feed for you. A few options of what you can display. Bear in mind, a Twitter feed is quite long and can take up quite a lot of space on your page, so you can change the number of tweets that you want to display at once. So let's just switch that down to 2. That is another great way to get content that isn't even posted within your site, but is posted quite regularly, to come through and display and keep everybody in the loop. There is a YouTube web part as well. So you may want to post an instructional video or a social media video that's been created by your school or organisation. It's very easy to do that. Just click on YouTube and you can simply copy the YouTube link or embed code in here. If you want to use any other video hosting sites, you can also use the embed web part to embed media from lots of different sites. It doesn't necessarily have to be a video either. Again, I'm just going to add a spacer in. and tie all of the web parts together by picking a different color. If someone is browsing here, they'll be able to read the tweets, and they can also watch a YouTube video just directly within the page by pressing the play button in the middle. Let's take a look at some of Cloud Design Box's own web parts that are specifically designed for school staff and students. Here we're going to take a look at the My Events web part. Now this will be personalized to the user and it will just display their upcoming events in Outlook. It could be maybe a little bit higher up the page, but it just allows the user to come in at a glance and see what they've got on that day before they log into Outlook. The events will also be clickable so they can go directly to them if it was a Teams meeting or they needed some more information on it. So another tool to keep your page looking fresh is to use the Word of the Day web part from Cloud Design Box. This will update with a different word every day of the year. If you edit the web part, you can select from our pre-populated word banks, or you can create your own lists. The Word of the Day web part is now displaying a quote and it will change every week. Other web parts from Cloud Design Box work specifically with your class teams bringing data through to your intranet site. And in the first column, in My Class Teams, we'll bring up all of the class teams that you're a member of, whether you teach that class or whether you are a student within it. When you click on these, it will take you directly to that class within Microsoft Teams. We also have the My Assignments web part, which will link directly to the assignments area in Teams as well. So whether you are staff or student, again, this will display the current list of set and due assignments. Finally, we're going to finish this page with one more full width web part. And you'll see here, if you're a Cloud Design Box customer, you should have the option to use the CDB blog posts web part. This web part is linked to the Cloud Design Box blog posts, which are taken directly from our website. If you choose to edit this web part, you can actually select the different types of posts that come through, and you'll see that our blog posts are broken down into different categories. So now, if users want to learn more about using Microsoft or how their intranet site works, they can simply click on one of our blog posts to read more. So by using a combination of these different web parts, you can create a really fresh, dynamic homepage that doesn't require a lot of maintenance. We can easily add the most important links at the top of the screen in a really visual manner. Below there, we can create larger lists for document libraries and external links as more get added to the site. We can also push updates such as news and events through without having to change our page. We can link social media in there to bring even more new content in. And if you're a Cloud Design Box user, some of our own web parts which have been designed with students and teachers in mind. Don't forget to use different layouts for your sections so that the page is a bit more interesting for the reader. And also try and color coordinate so that you can tie web parts together so they don't look like they're floating around in white space. Also, you can use the spacer web part to create padding and make sure that your page is nice and symmetrical and looks professional.